Okay, we are live. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win, the Sunday edition. I'm joined this morning by Miss G. Miss G, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Davis?
Doing good. We have a guest from Florida who will be logging in. Hopefully, she'll be logging in very soon. But while we're waiting for her, so tell me what you thought of yesterday's seminar that we did.
It was good. Um, I loved the attorneys that were on there, obviously. Double O was my favorite, and well, actually, not all of them are my favorite. All the attorneys are my favorite, but Double O, I asked him a lot of questions because a lot of people called me last week, and they said, if you're going to do the seminar, Ms. G, could you please ask him this about the drug testing and all that? So I wrote down the questions and I asked him. So it was very informative. Um,
So he did
very,
a really good presentation.
yes, he did. He did a very good presentation. I
And
just
for,
love him.
and
Yeah.
for all of you that are watching, Double O is an attorney by the name of Okori Okorocha here in Los Angeles, and he is frequently a guest on this show, and
Mhm.
he's been on every seminar that we've given. I think he likes doing them.
But the information he provided was different than last time. So basically, I asked him some deep questions about the drug testing,
Hmm.
and he answered, and it amazes me on how much. I shared other things with him too, and he was shocked to hear what they do. And like going to somebody's home, for example, and forcing them to do a drug test, and then if they don't do it, then they take their children from them. So what they're doing right now in San Bernardino, they go to people's homes, parents' homes, and they have like a little container, and they tell them to pee in front of them. Yeah, they tell them to pee in that container in front of them, and if they don't pee in front of them, they will take their children.
Almost seems unconstitutional.
Yes.
Monique says, "Don't answer the door." What? That's great advice, Monique. That's
Well,
exactly what I tell people. Why are you answering the door anyway? You know
well,
why? Because a
she
lot
thought.
of people think they're going to out talk the social worker. They're going to outthink the social worker. They're going to, you know, I don't know if people realize this, and maybe Okori might have mentioned this. If you take a drug test, there's about a 5% chance that there's going to be a false negative and a false positive. So thinking that you don't do drugs and taking the drug test is going to solve all the problems,
Mhm.
in 5% of the cases you're going to be screwed, because it's by definition drug tests are not 100% reliable. And by the way, a drug test, this is what I learned from Double O many, couple seminars ago. A drug test is completed inside of a laboratory after submitting the urine samples to certain tests with mechanical machines in the laboratory. Peeing in a cup and dipsticking it is not a drug test. We just assume that it was, and it's not. What they do at most hospitals when they give you a drug test, it's really called a drug screen. And according to Okori, drug screens are not admissible in court if you and your attorney object to it, because a drug screen doesn't meet what they call the Kelly
Right.
Fry standard or test.
Right.
For scientific tests to be admissible in a court of law, there's a standard, and it tells you exactly what the standard is.
Mhm.
And drug screens don't meet that standard. It has to be a drug test in the laboratory. And when they take your urine at the hospital, they usually don't send it to a laboratory. It's just a screen. So a lot of people getting their babies taken away because of these drug screens and not drug tests.
Mhm. And it the thing about it is when they come with the police, for example, they intimidate you. And officers don't know that they're actually violating the law. These CPS does not even follow their book guidelines. They violate their own rules. And attorneys in the CPS world, I mean, in juvenile courts, the court appointed attorneys, Rachel said it yesterday in the seminar to me. She said, I like her, by the way. She's an aggressive attorney. She said that they told her when she was working in CPS, in juvenile court, they told her to basically um, bully the parents. And that came from the supervisor himself.
Right. I don't know if you know this, but Rachel used to work with me.
She told me last night because me and her connected really well. And I called her last night after the seminar, and she said a lot of great things about you. She said she worked with you um, for a while, and then she made like after she resigned from juvenile court. She said this is her passion. This is her only passion, is to help parents. And I love that about her because I told her this is my passion too. And I just want everybody to have their kids back. And me and her started talking, and I said, hey, why didn't you come back on the team? But she said she's going to talk to Mr. Davis. She said she's going to meet with you maybe, hopefully, next week or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
She told me via text that she was appearing yesterday online with another attorney. Did the other attorney appear?
Are you talking about the seminar?
Yeah.
No, it was just her.
Rachel was by herself.
Hmm.
Okay, because she told me that she was having another attorney who's quite well known and kind of famous in the space of personal injury and I think also civil rights and employment,
I know
who's
who that is. Yeah.
an expert trial lawyer.
Hmm.
She and I are both graduates of the Trial Lawyers College. I won't mention her name. She may not want her name mentioned, but I thought she was going to be on with Rachel.
You know what? That's a good question. I'm gonna. Her birthday is Monday, by the way. Rachel's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm gonna after she celebrates with her family and her significant other, she calls him. I will take her out next week to
Oh, very
celebrate.
nice.
She's really, really sweet. I loved her so much. Yeah, her passion and her commitment to help families is completely amazing.
I can honestly say that I don't think I've ever had a more passionate lawyer
Hmm.
work for me,
Hmm.
over the years. Rachel's probably the most passionate about CPS cases and about civil rights cases and that type of thing.
Yeah,
It's quite amazing.
yeah, and she dedicates herself. She calls her clients her people.
Hmm.
And there is not one client that complained about her. And that was the problem in juvenile court because her supervisor told her, nobody's complaining about you. You're not doing your job. And she didn't see it that way.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, all she was taught there is to convince, clients that they're guilty, to convince them to admit to the guilt, convince them. She said it was more about setting the client up rather than helping the client. And I just the way me and her were talking for an hour
So
last night. She's
she was
amazing.
referring to when she was a court appointed attorney?
Yeah, when she was a court appointed attorney, and she said she would never go back. By the way, I I'm gonna text you the name of the attorney that told her that, and it's the same attorney. Never mind. It's the same attorney that I dealt with.
Hmm. Interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know him as well. But again, in LA County, she said they're corrupt. They're so corrupt in LA County in the court system. And she saw the numbers, and it doesn't add up because they have very maybe 1% get their children back. 1%.
No, I
I
think
mean,
it's higher than that.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know. Okay.
Hey, everyone, I am posting Grace's email address in the comments on all the social media platforms. If anyone is interested in getting a video digital copy of yesterday's seminar at a small cost, contact Grace and she will give it to you. Now, I want to tell you something. I was present for the first half of the seminar. I had an obligation in the second half, so I didn't get to see that. But I did a presentation. I saw Connie's presentation, which, as usual, spectacular. Um, and I just wanted to know from you. And I saw some texts from you, and I saw some texts from Darren, and I saw some texts from Aaron, all of which I didn't read. I was just too busy to read it. And this morning, it's over, done with. But overall, how did the afternoon go?
It was okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, it was okay.
How were did you think the presenters did a good job?
I think the attorney did a great job.
Which attorney?
The attorneys did a
Oh, the
great job.
attorneys. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, of course, Corey always does a great job. I kind of watched the show for a minute. There was an attorney, a female attorney, African American. Was her name Latasha?
Lucretia, but I call her
Lucretia.
Keisha. Yeah, me, her, and Attorney Cree are gonna also go out next week. So I told Rachel, I said, let's just make it all of us together at a Middle Eastern restaurant my friend owns in Anaheim. And I said, I'll just introduce you guys to Middle East, right? Food and stuff and belly dancing and all that. And Lucretia was like, so she's like, I'm for it. Let's do it.
What was Lucretia's topic?
She was basically talking about how families or parents should address I mean, okay, so when you speak of your rights or address to a social worker, don't be aggressive, don't be all in, like, you're the parent and you're above them, and don't do the, I guess, in other words, the ghetto talk, right? She has a video on TikTok on Instagram, I mean, that I love so much and I laugh about it all the time. She acted as her client, one of like a client with a social worker on the phone. And then she did another scene with like pretending to be a client with the same social worker talking about the same thing, about the drug test. And she said the way you behave, your behavior comes across, when you're aggressive with them, this aggression is going to be held against you, because what they're trying to do is push your button so far to the point where you react to them, to their to their behavior, and then it makes you look worse.
Right.
And that's what they take to the judge. So she said,
Do me
just
a favor.
suck it up.
Send me that link. I'd like to see it. Maybe I can even play it now.
I told her I send it to my friends and family, and they all laughed, and I still laugh. When I need a good laugh, I watch it. It's really amazing.
Can you send the link to me now while I
Yeah.
answer this question?
Yeah.
C Viper 23 watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, C Viper. Is there any way to prevent CPS from taking your kids from school? The answer is, here in California at least, no. No. That doesn't mean that it's legal. That doesn't mean that they have a warrant. It just means, can you stop them? And there is no way to stop them. Hope that answers your question. I know it's probably not the answer that you wanted to hear. Monique says video footage helps, but the real issue is getting a judge to look at it. Well, if you have a trial, Monique, and you and your attorney know what you guys are doing, you can always show video evidence. They may not like to see it, but it's evidence that you have a right to show. Christina says, why? What's the point? Maybe I missed the rest of that question, Christina. I'm not sure what you're referring to. You looking for that TikTok, Miss G?
Yes, I'm looking for it. She has a lot.
A lot of what?
It's not TikTok, it's Instagram. It's hold on. Can I just send it to you
Is,
after
is
the
she
show?
in? Is she in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to meet her and talk to her.
She actually knows you. She told me that when she was a new attorney, she met you,
Oh, okay.
and I let her talk to you when you see her. But I think you guys know each other. I mean, you know her, but you just don't remember. I will
Is
send you the video after. I can't find it right now.
any way you can set up like a luncheon for me and her to get together?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Attorney Cree, too, you're going to love. Attorney Cree is just a sweetheart. Just amazing. She's African American also, and very great attorney as well. I loved her attitude, and I loved she's an attorney like Keisha is also aggressive, by the way. She was in the system growing up.
Really
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, I think you and her are going to get along perfectly fine because she has that personality that you like, which is, she's a go getter personality, kind of like, I want to win. I want to win. This is what I want to do.
Hmm.
And yeah, she's good people. That's why I enjoy. I found them, by the way. I found
How did,
Cree and Lucretia
how did
uh,
you find them?
when I was calling around, and me and Cree clicked like the first instant, like the first second. Me and her, she gave me her cell number. We started texting each other, emojis and hearts, and So it's yeah, they're cool people, really cool
That's
people.
that's great.
That's
That's great.
somebody you would want on your team as well, for sure.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm. And Cree's father, I'm gonna text it to you. I don't want to say it on the show because it's not my business. But I'll text it to you here.
Text me what?
Cree's dad.
Oh, really?
Hmm. But I don't know if I should.
Here in
And
Los Angeles? Here in Los Angeles County?
yes, and also Lucretia and Cree are good friends. They're close.
Oh, they know each other.
Hmm.
How do they know each other?
Well, when I called Lucretia first, and Lucretia said, I mean, sorry, yeah, Cree first, and then Cree, I said, Cree, do you know anyone else that would love to join the fight? And she said, well, I have somebody in mind, but she's visiting family. She's out of state. I said, can I please have her number? So she gave my information to Lucretia, and Lucretia contacted me like an hour later, and she said she would love to be on the seminar.
Very
And,
good.
and I asked Cree how she knew Lucretia. She said we're friends. I said okay. So
Okay, let me read this question. You go to school and write up a declaration that states your children are not to be interviewed outside of the presence of you and your legal representative, and you will hold the school legally responsible and put it in each child's file. It may not stop them, but it will slow them down having to get a warrant. That's actually pretty good advice, Charlene. It won't stop them, but it may slow them down. May slow them down. But in order for someone to do that, they're going to have to be awfully prophylactic, meaning, most parents aren't going to think or know to do that, right? They don't even know about CPS. Most people I come in contact with never heard of CPS, or the like agency in their county or state. So to know to do that, you'd have to know something about CPS and why you would need that. A lot of people, even that come in contact with CPS, tell me all the time, I have nothing to hide. I feel like I should be able to speak to them. And sometimes they get a little indignant with me. And my position now is, okay, go ahead, talk to them. If that's what you want.
no,
Why do you say don't talk to them? I just told you. I just explained it to you, but if you feel that that's not going to work for you, it's ultimately your family, your decision. You make the call. I can only give you pros and cons and what I think.
Hmm.
You don't have to listen to my 37 years of experience. Am I always right? Of course not, right? Of course not.
Um, you know, I asked like Lucretia this. She doesn't. She always tells her clients, "Do not um, talk to the social workers because you have me now. You hired me, so let me deal with them, and let me deal with their counsel because she said we can't. You can't deal with the social workers. Attorneys cannot deal with the social workers. They have to deal with their counsel, right? And she always recommends the same thing. Do not communicate with them. But the only thing about Lucretia is that she doesn't take cases that's towards TPR. So Rachel does.
Hmm.
Rachel does, and Lucretia is big on, and Cree as well, big on hiring an attorney immediately before another attorney takes over. Because usually when another attorney takes over, they screw up everything. They screw up so much, it makes it harder for the new attorney to fix everything that they screwed up and didn't do right. So Rachel was listening and she said, you know what, I agree with them. But Rachel's thing is, I still want to get them help. I want to file that motion. I want to stop the adoption. I want, so she understands, but she's more like, okay, let's do it. But, all attorneys have different mindset on what they want to deal with.
Oh, they certainly do.
Yeah. And all of them are strong individuals and great attorneys, all three women, and they have their own personalities, unique personalities, and that's what makes them beautiful. you know Different personalities to deal with when it comes to CPS cases.
Player Mike asks, "Hey, Mr. Davis, can CPS get a warrant if you decide to homeschool without CPS approval in Utah?" Well, Player Mike, I'm not licensed in Utah, but in California, I would say the answer to that specific question is no. They might be able to get a warrant if you haven't registered in California for homeschooling. And at least in California, you don't register with CPS to homeschool your child. You register with the local school board, I think. But if you're going to homeschool your kid, which you have the right to do, um, you got to you got to be registered and you got to follow the rules. Otherwise, they're going to think that you're not sending the kids to school. Occasionally, I get that kind of case. They've been homeschooling the four kids and they're not registered. They don't follow any specific plan or requirements, and then they get in trouble with CPS. Not a terribly difficult case to win, but you don't want to put yourself in that position because I've had the funny feeling over the years that CPS is against homeschooling. And if you ask me why, I think it's because a lot of people believe that school is, the best place for your children.
Hmm.
And I would generally agree with that, except there are some specific cases where that's not true. You know, what if your school is in a terribly deprived area, or there's a lot of gang violence at your school, and just a lot of things. Why would you want to send the kid to school? And then there's the situation where your child may need that one-on-one everyday attention. They're not going to get that at school,
Hmm.
right? They're in a group of 20, 30, 40 other students, one teacher. That's a terrible ratio. How is a special needs child or a child that needs that special attention, how are they going to get that? Not possible. So I will say I'm generally for kids going to schools, but I do understand that in some situations that's not the best. But I'm a firm believer in this. This is America. We have
Hmm.
constitutional rights. If you as a parent want to homeschool your child, that's your decision. And I don't think the government or other people should be involved in that decision-making process. It's like, well, what religion are you going to practice?
Mm-hmm.
That's your decision, right? I'm Catholic. You're Christian,
I'm
right?
Coptic. Yeah, I'm
Coptic,
Coptic
okay,
Christian. Yeah.
Christian. There are people that are Buddhist. There are people that are Muslim. There are people that
Mhm.
are Jewish. We have many different types of religion. I can't say, and neither can the government, that you only be this religion. Okay, that's not what we're about.
Right.
We're about everyone making those choices for themselves. And I think whether you're going to homeschool or school, that's a decision that the parents should make as well. Public schools, publicly funded schools, are not that relatively. They're relatively new to our society. Okay, there weren't always publicly supported schools.
Really?
Yeah,
When was this?
I don't know. You can Google it. Public schools is something that's kind of new in our society.
Hmm.
And, it's like everything else, though. The more kids you got going to school, the more money you make from the state and from the federal government. It's like one of those
Oh,
things.
money. It's money.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that public school is bad. Not at all. I'm just
It's
saying,
actually bad now, Vincent. If you see what's going on, me and Rachel were talking about that too, and she's so upset about it. Um, right now, they're telling the children that if you don't like your parent, the state can take over, and they're implementing that in schools right now. And she said it's disgusting how a preschooler knows about different types of sexual positions, and they're teaching them that. They have books like that at school now, and she said it's not the same anymore. So a lot of people are pulling out their children to homeschool them, and then CPS becomes involved because the school calls CPS
right.
that they're
Well,
afraid that these kids are being abused. Yeah.
right, right, right. When I was growing up, my father didn't want to send me to a public school in my neighborhood.
Hmm.
And so he decided to send me to Catholic school.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, so you're Catholic? Still, you went to Catholic school?
mhm.
Okay.
I went to that explains a lot, doesn't it?
Oh,
Not only that, I went to Catholic kindergarten with nuns. I went to Catholic elementary school, first through eighth grade. I went to Catholic high school. I went to Catholic college. I went to
wow.
Catholic law school.
Oh my God.
Right. So, but here's the thing: when my family decided to send me to Catholic school,
Hmm.
it wasn't because of they wanted to homeschool me. They believed at the time, this is many years ago, that education was better than the comparable public education.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Now
believe
since
them
that now
though. Hmm.
since that time, public schools have raised their game significantly,
Not really.
right? Or a
Hmm.
lot of public schools. They have magnet programs and everything. But yeah, so that's the reason why. And as a matter of fact, you know why I was baptized Catholic?
Why?
Be- because the tuition was cheaper if you were Catholic going to
Ah,
Catholic school.
that explains it.
It was all about the
That
money.
explains it.
It's all about the money.
Oh my God.
But
Okay.
back then, I think, I can remember being in the first through eighth grade and we had to bring our tuition envelope home and then bring it back to school.
Hmm.
And I think at the time it was like $5 a month, which was kind of outrageous. $5 a month. And then by the time I graduated, it was, I think, like $15 a month, which is, just outrageous at the time. And then I went to, I went to a Catholic private high school. And I'm told now, I don't know, to go to that same high school is like $30,000 or $40,000 a year, right? Well, when I went there, it was like, I think my first year was $750. And that was kind of outrageous. My dad, had to work a second job to make sure that he could pay for it. $750 a year not a month, a year. And now to go to that same high school, it's tens of thousands of dollars. So I mean, just look at prices have changed significantly. In the house that I grew up in, the neighborhood I grew up, you could when my grandparents bought that house, I think they paid like $15,000, which was like, woo, a big deal. $15,000 for a house, Georgette. Can you imagine?
Can I wish you
$15,000 isn't even a down payment these days.
no. Oh my God, that's less than what I'm paying.
You pay that more than that in rent,
Rent
right? Yeah,
more than that. Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh my God. Like I was telling Rachel, my air conditioning is like breaking me down. It was almost $1,000. I had to come up with, like, literally I had to pay, and I was like, oh my God, that's just having my air conditioner on,
right.
and it's crazy. She said that's LA for you. I mean, California is extremely high in everything. Everything is extremely high, and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was even talking about the gas prices, and I said, Rachel, my car used to fill up with $35. Like, what the hell happened? I said, now it's going to $70 almost, and I said, I think she predicts the gas prices are going to be $10 a gallon soon.
That's what she said.
Prediction.
Oh, wow.
Me and her, yeah, because right now it's $7, Vincent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to some CPS stuff.
hmm
Anybody want to post a question that they want to
I
ask?
I actually have a lot of questions.
Okay, go ahead.
When when CPS comes to you, obviously, and then you don't open the door for them, they go to the school. Now, if the same rule follows when it comes to them having an order, a court order to enter your home, or a court order to speak to your children. They cannot speak to your children without a court order. But when they go to the schools, the principal or the teachers or whoever is in charge, they allow them to speak to the children without a court order. They don't ask them for a court order. What is your feedback on that?
It's a very gray area in the law. Typically, in California at least, you can't talk to someone's child without a parental permission. However, there's a law in California that says if the social worker or the authorities are investigating child abuse, they can talk to the child at school.
Mhm.
Now, or words to that effect. Now, I've seen it go both ways in courts, especially in civil cases, about whether you can speak to the child or not speak to the child. Basically, the way I think the state of the law is in California, at least, is you better have a pretty good damn reason to go talk to someone's kid,
Right.
um, you know, before you go do it without parental permission.
Yeah.
And so, that's a very gray area of the law. So I guess we can see circumstances where we might want somebody to talk to the kid if
hmm
something serious is going on. But what happens is when a social worker uses the excuse that it's something serious when it's really not,
hmm
and then goes talk to your kid. You know, I think they should always get a warrant unless they've noticed some type of abuse before they go talk to someone's children. That's just my personal belief, with individual rights and rights as a parent. But, it gets really gray and really kind of squeamish, um, in the law. There was a case, I'm going to tell you this. This was routine, and I still think some counties do this. If you were a child and you were detained for whatever reason, sex abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, whatever the charge was, there was a county here in California who sent you as a kid for a routine sexual abuse examination. Just sent you. And an attorney that I know brought a lawsuit to stop this and to sue the social workers and the county. He eventually won the case, but I remember the judge's reaction, the federal judge's reaction to this common practice. I mean, the judge was outraged that CPS would do this for every case. Because I don't know if you know this, if you've ever been experienced this, but a sexual abuse evaluation is a very intrusive thing, whether you're a boy or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like, oh, let me feel your head. You know, it's like, take off your clothes and spread your legs. Now, assuming you've never been sexually abused, why are they doing that?
It's horrible.
And I think the consensus was with the judge was, well, you can do it if this is a sex abuse case. But if you took this kid away from her mother because she uses drugs, there's no sexual abuse examination that should
Yep.
be had, right? So get this. Now, here's the real sad part of this. It turns out that every time the county sent a kid to get a sexual abuse examination, the hospital was paid, I forget the exact number, but let's say it's $1,500.
Oh,
Okay. But, and I
wow.
forget the exact numbers, the county was paid by the federal government $5,000.
Yeah.
So if you take 5,000 minus 1,500, that leaves $3,500 difference. What
Mm-hmm.
happens to that $3,500? Well, apparently this county was keeping the $3,500 as profit on the transaction. So why were the kids getting sexual abuse examinations? Was it because somebody was concerned, or was it an easy 3,500 to make from the federal government?
That's the second part that you just said. That's what it is. Because when a mother is concerned, if a child said, um, if a mother sees a child licking the doll, the middle part of the doll, right, and then the child tells her mom awkward, for example, one of the people that I spoke with last week, um, the mother reports it. And she's concerned. She's like, I need therapy for this child. I need a therapist. She's 5 years old. I need a therapist. But they would not approve the therapy because the father and her had joint custody and she couldn't get a therapy for her. So anyway, she reported it. Then they took the child to the hospital and did exactly what you just did, what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But the mother kept saying, I didn't say that the father touched the child. I'm just saying, we need
Right.
to find out why the child is doing this. But they took it as the mother um, is accusing the father for sexual molestation.
Right. And
Weird,
in
huh?
theory, I can see somebody maybe coming up with that idea. The
Yeah.
problem is what do they actually do to the child to implement that idea? And it's horrific.
She
It's
didn't allow it in the
yeah,
hospital. She told me she didn't allow it. She didn't want to allow it because her daughter was crying and she said that's torture. They asked her daughter to open her legs, like you said, and
right,
the child was like, no, no, no.
right.
And
Here's another version of this from player Mike. DCFS did the full bone check on both my children. Now,
oh my God.
assuming it wasn't a physical abuse case or a broken bone case,
Oh
this
my,
is just a little twist on that sexual abuse scam,
oh my God. Oh my God.
right? So, you know, we think our government is here to help and protect us,
No, they're
but the financial incentives show otherwise.
it's actually getting worse. There's more kids right now because and Rachel and I talked about that too. She said, Georgette, the kids that they're stealing from parents, they're being molested. They're put in a group home, introduced to drugs that they were never introduced to begin with.
Right,
And then they run away to go back to the parent. And then they hold the parent responsible for the child running to them.
right.
And then they still remove the child from the parent and put them back in the same group home. The child runs away again, and then the fifth time the child runs away, they die on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they're doing.
Hey, we're getting close to the end. Any more questions you have for me today?
I think I saw a question here real quick. How do we find, Monique said, how do we find the supposed court order? I was told they had a court order to come in my home, but by the police, but no one left to pick it up. No one had to show me a court order. How do you get that court order?
You go to court. You and your lawyer request it from court,
Hmm.
or send a subpoena or something, discovery request.
Okay.
But I've been told on many occasions that the police or social worker have come to their home and say, "Look, we have a warrant to do this or that," and they're never given a copy. The parent is never given a copy of the warrant, and come to find out, they never had a warrant. They just lied to you. Because when they do that, most people aren't going to do anything,
Hmm.
right? They're not going to call Davis up and say, "Hey, I need to sue these people." They just, go on with their life.
That's true. Now she said,
And
can
I'm, and
also.
I'm by the way, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Okay, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. If you want to just go on with your life, that's fine. That's your personal decision. But people ask me, why did they do this? Well, this is why, because nobody holds them accountable.
She's okay. Can
Can what?
Player Mike said, no, it wasn't an abuse case. It was a chronic neckful case. Chronically, maybe.
I don't know. Player
Uh,
Mike, what are you trying to type there? By the way, when we did the Zoom seminar yesterday,
mm,
Grace had figured out how to bring people on to ask questions, right?
mm, mm.
So that we can do that using Zoom for our seminars. Can we do the same thing using what is this we use?
Yeah, Streamyard.
Streamyard? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people um, want to ask a question and they don't want to type it, or it communicates better if I have them on the line or something.
Mhm.
But I don't know if they can do that without me sending them an invite to be on the stream.
I found out from James Bailey's, the guy that follows you on YouTube all the time. James actually, he's very smart, extremely smart when it comes to computers. He figured it out. He told me that you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I need you to get in touch with him and tell me, because we can start doing it tomorrow.
Okay, I'm gonna tell.
One of the things that when I was doing the radio show for KABC
Mhm.
in Los Angeles, one of the things that people liked was they got to call in and talk to me directly
Yes.
without showing their face,
Mm-hmm.
without using their real names,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was a big draw. And now we don't have that. We're not doing that because we don't know the technology. But people post questions, but it's not the same, because if it's a lot of posting on, it's 8 different social media sites. You may post a question, I won't see it at all because I'm talking to you, and by the time I look over to the posts, 10 other posts have been played or been posted. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't get to all the questions. I mean, it's a good idea in theory, but in terms of people interacting with the show, I'd like them to be able to call in.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to James today, and also one of my friends. I went to school with him. Um, he has his own radio shows, and he's very well known. Big boy, his name was, but he lost a lot of weight. But me and him went to school together. We went to high school together.
Well, wait a minute. You went to high school with Big Boy?
Hmm. I know his sister. I know his family, his mother. We used to
Really?
hang out. Yeah, we still hang out. His sister. Yeah.
You wait a minute. You know Big Boy.
Yes, we went to high school. We graduated the same. Yeah, we went to high school together.
You know,
And
I'm a big fan of his.
really, oh,
Yeah.
we went to high school together, Culver City High. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah,
Have been, for years.
yeah,
And he did
uh,
lose a lot of weight. I don't
he
know
did.
if he worked out or had an operation or diet or whatever, but he looks like a totally different dude.
Yeah, he does. But
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, should I call you big boy? Like when we went to his school reunion, I'm like, should I call you big boy now because I don't know what to do. You're not a big boy no more.
You know,
But
his show or cuts from his show are on social media, you know,
mhm,
when he's interviewing guests and stuff, and they're,
mhm.
you know, very interesting and sometimes funny interviews with people. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of one he did an interview with I for, I forget their names, but they had the Baller brand basketball, and they were, you know, the father was an ex NBA player, and then I think all the brothers were NBA players.
yeah.
And
I
he,
went to school with Derek Dees too. He played for the 49ers.
okay, very
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, I like a lot of people from my school were yeah.
All right, so
What
we're at the 45-minute mark, Miss G. One last question that you
mhm.
have.
um 1 second. Oh,
By the
see,
way,
that's
when
the thing. I can't find the question so
yeah,
easy.
yeah, that's what makes it hard.
Okay,
You know,
here it is.
I have a question. I have a question
Uh-huh.
for you. Before the show started today, you and I were on the stream by ourselves, and I called someone that was supposed to be the guest today. She answered. We had a conversation. Could you hear her and me
Yes, I did. I heard the
clearly?
whole conversation. Yes, clearly.
Okay, because you know, one of the things I can do is just get an 800 number, forward it to my cell phone, and when people want to call in, they'll just call on my cell phone. I'll answer it, put it on speaker, and they can talk, and then everyone on the stream will hear it, and they
Oh
will both.
yeah.
That's the easy way to do it.
I think that's perfect way to do it. Because I could hear you guys perfectly fine.
Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll get an 800 number and forward it to my mobile phone so that people can just call in.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do that today, and we can start that tomorrow on
Yes,
tomorrow's
do
show
that.
at 7 p.m.
Seriously, yeah, do that today. Because last time you said you're gonna do something, you got busy and you didn't follow through with it. So
Well, text me a reminder to do that. There's a Ram game. They're playing Philadelphia Eagles today at
I
1
know.
p.m. So I'm going to be involved in that.
Me
But
too.
text me, and I'm going to get that 800 number, and we'll start using it tomorrow. And I
Okay.
know Grace is off today, but we'll tell Grace, and I think she will think that is a great idea, and I think Player Mike thinks that's going to be a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, one
Um,
last question.
mhm.
I'm gonna be watching the game too. So here is the question: is there any way to prevent CPS from taking your kids from school?
No, if they have a warrant, no.
Damn it! Really?
Hmm.
Okay. What
It's
if they
just
don't have a warrant and like I said, they have to see the warrant, right? The principal or the teacher or somebody.
you would think.
Yeah, but they used to tell the parents they didn't ask for a warrant.
You know, there's so many things that happen at schools when you're not there. Um, you know, it just depends on who the social worker is, how intimidating it can be, who the principal is, whose rights the principal is trying to protect. You know, it's just different.
Clear
Okay.
mic.
All right. We're going to end the show now. We've gone over a little bit. Thank you for appearing today, Miss G.
Yes,
And
sir.
we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Pacific time. All right.
Okay.
Good night
Good night.
or
I
good
mean,
day.
goodbye.